Hello, shipwrecks, and welcome to Seamen On Film Rev B. I'm your host, Adam, and with me is the crew, Sabrina, Andy, Joe, and Chris. We're U.S. Navy veterans who are on a mission to discuss and evaluate our favorite films, determining which ones are worthy of making the cut for a naval deployment. That's right, today we're flashing back to the mid-2000s when physical media ruled the world and the 96 CD case was your ultimate travel companion. And trust us, the movies you chose had to be top-notch because they were your only entertainment for months at sea. So grab your 96 CD case and join us as we dive into which films are worthy of making it into our ultimate movie deployment case. Welcome aboard and let's roll out. It's time to see if these movies had what it takes to survive a naval deployment. This is Seamen On Film Rev B.
Hey,
What's going
missed
on?
you guys.
The movie I chose for this first run through is the 2007 Zack Snyder film 300. I just want to begin the discussion by asking you guys, what were your initial reactions when I chose this film, and do you have any memories of watching this film on the boat when we were in the Navy? Joe?
Yeah, of course, man. This came out in what, oh 07?
7.
Oh 07, yeah, okay. So this is the year I got out of the Navy.
Yeah.
And I saw it in March of that year.
That's right. It was, yeah, it was just before we got off. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it in the theaters, and I believe I was in Boston when I saw it. And this was like the biggest movie, like that everybody every dude wanted to see this
together,
movie.
didn't we?
Like, it was a bunch of ripped ass Spartans fucking sweating and bleeding all over the place. Yeah, this was played a billion times.
A billion times.
I can't even. I can only imagine that. I mean, it must have been played like every underway for the next. It probably still is getting played.
Right?
This is a movie for men.
Quintessential, like military men.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. More testosterone than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
You have to. You at least worked with dudes that are probably like, oh,
I have no disputes to everything.
I'm Leonidas. No, I'm a Persian. They're fighting on the flight deck.
You're all built the same in the core.
Chris, what was the culture around this film when it came out?
The culture. I would say the culture around this was, I think people wanted to start working out because of this movie on the ship because they wouldn't shut up talking about it. And there was one person in particular talking about, oh, the workout would kill a normal man, but well, these normal men did it, You don't see Gerard Butler in this kind of shape anymore.
Well, I think they put that workout probably in, I feel like it was probably in like Men's Health or something.
Yeah, it had to be.
Because I remember like
workout.
having a conversation with Troyer or something about like, we were talking about the workouts that they did to get in that shape.
And then there were the guys that couldn't get into this shape, and they were like, "Those were airbrushed on, you know it, right?"
Yeah,
that was me.
It's okay.
I think that was the other movie that was the mockumentary of it. But this one, I'd never seen this movie before from start to finish.
Oh.
I'd always seen it. Of course, I'd seen it on the mess decks every day.
Like up until like this viewing, you haven't seen it back,
right? And I wasn't happy when you changed to this movie because I was really ready for the other movie you had chosen because I had watched that one maybe 5 times in the past month, and I said, "Oh, I'm ready to talk about that one. I'm ready to tell you how much I love it and pull it apart." But this one here, when I first started watching it, it caught my eye because I realized, oh, this is a Frank Miller. I really love that style. And I'm a big Gerard Butler fan. There was no reason why I didn't watch it, but I had seen it scene by scene so much. I just never felt like I needed to sit down and watch it. But this is the first time I sat down and I watched it and paid attention all the way through. And we'll get into the rest of it. I mean, the visuals, the storytelling, it was fun. And it went fast and it was an easy watch.
Even though it's like 2 hours.
Yeah. Let me give you a little overview. Once again, 2007 film, 300, directed by Zack Snyder, is a I can't speak today. It's a fictional historical action film. It's the retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae. focuses on King Leonidas and the 300 Spartans fighting the Persian god King Xerxes. Like testically stated, it's based on Frank Miller's comic book series. I just wanted to note also that Zack Snyder also ended up using Frank Miller's Dark Knight when he directed Batman versus Superman. Another note: Michael Fassbender makes his film debut in this movie.
I thought that was. I happened to see that. I was like, really? What were you doing before that, Michael?
And this is kind of goes into the EMI
Probably
of the
theater.
ensemble casts and stuff like that. So we'll get into that later. Grossed over 456 million. It was the 10th highest grossing film of 2007, and it only had a budget of $60 million. Also, like, this film, like, after that culture took off, there were Spartan races that came off of this. You know, all the like high speed guys started using the Spartan helmets and all their patches and stuff like that. It was like tailor made for military bros.
A lot of Spartan helmet stickers still on the back windshields of cars.
All right,
Oh,
yeah.
it's everywhere.
You sure it's not just because of the USC Trojans?
No, it's not.
I mean, you are in California, so
Everywhere I look.
A lot of women in Subarus with that helmet on the back window there.
Here on Seamen On Film, we're gonna give our Navy evaluations of the film based using Navy eval terms. We're gonna start off with the EP. We're each gonna hand out EPs, MPs, and SPs. Stands for in the Navy eval system. EP stands for early promotion, but for us, it's gonna stand for extra promotion. The best thing we like about the film, our most favorite aspect of the film. I guess I'll give my EP first. I think the best thing about the film is that it started the hyper stylized violence that we see nowadays. I feel like it started off from this film, and like watching like Game of Thrones and all that stuff. Like, this movie seems really tame. I remember when this film first came out, like all the brutal death scenes and kills and stuff. It was like seemed outlandish at the time, but I was like watching it this week, and it seemed pretty tame compared to the stuff that's coming out nowadays. What do you guys think?
yeah. I mean, I feel like it was trying to be as true to form as it would have been, because I mean, like, you know, primitive weapons and combat, like, it's gonna be pretty brutal. So I mean, like, but yeah, I think there was a different element of realism to fight scenes that we hadn't seen as much prior to this. So I agree with what you're saying.
I remember a lot of articles being written about like the style that was used in filming this movie and the starkness of it all. And seemed like it was really important as a new direction for how films would be filmed in the future and how they'd be made in the future. Like some of these really intense, slow moving scenes where you just see straight up the blood flowing through the air and everything being something that was pretty new and maybe had not been done before. I'm not sure, but it was intense.
Like, I don't think we would get the version of John Wick that we have now if it wasn't for this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is still a hyper violent movie.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
I mean, yeah. Even I mean, well, John Wick. I mean, like, there's a lot of. I mean, there's some serious kill shots in this thing. There's, you know, it's a very over the top violent.
This movie's more gruesome than John Wick by like the detail that you can see, like when you see the thinking like the oracles and all that kind of stuff on the mountain and all that kind of nonsense, and like just the detail in like Leonidas's face when you get all those close-ups on him and you can see the red in his eyes and all that kind of stuff. Like, it paid really close attention to all those fine details. Does it?
Um, yeah, with this movie, like I said, I noticed it had this kind of violence. I still didn't find it was ultra, violent, because I guess I'm just like, everything now is just trying to shock you, to grab you in that first 5 minutes to get you to watch it.
Yeah.
And this one was it was sort of like that, but what was the first thing?
It was like purposeful.
From what I
The
remember
static
back
and the
then.
messenger was the messenger kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw like the beginning, they had baby skeletons, I guess, down there in a pit, whenever the monkey holds up Simba. And he's like, oh, I think we'll keep this one. And there's other skeletons. I was like, are those baby skeletons? Do they get rid of them?
If you got a dent in your head in Sparta, man, they can't be feeding you. You gotta go. Like we're here to raise warriors.
This is first world or not? Well,
look at the
first
Hunchback.
generation eugenics.
Quite a first world problem.
Yeah, look at the Hunchback.
I
They
mean,
were, he should have been tossed into the baby skeleton abyss, but what his mom probably saved him at the last second, or didn't even tell that we had a little deformed baby. Like, you're not part of the phalanx, friend. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't feel like he should have been as disrespected as he was either. Like, Leonidas didn't disrespect him. He was just like, hey, if you're in this,
he was a very nice king about it.
Protect everyone. You can still be a part. We'll find a spot for you, but you can't be in the formation. That's just what it is. And the whole world ended for him. And I was like, you did that to yourself. You set yourself up for failure with that one, dude.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you look like a fucking garbage pail kid. Everybody else has abs. You have abs on like the back of your head. You're gross looking.
Yeah, I just thought, I said, does this guy have Proteus syndrome? That's what I need. This is where I need our other seamen here. Yeah. Is this Proteus syndrome? Is this part of it? They had a lot of these things back then. They had, and I noticed the same monster. They kind of used that same face in another Frank Miller movie. And I just thought, they just said, hey, you know what? Grab that face off of that Hunchback, throw it on that guy that can't get boners,
The yellow bastard or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't this after Sin City?
I don't know.
Sin City was before this movie.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I do. I just love. I don't know. Is it called cinematography? I like the way all those movies are done. I like the visuals. I like the scene movement.
Andy, what are you giving your EP to?
I want to give an EP to even though like I was watching it mostly with the director commentary on, but even though they did take some artistic liberties, and it's a dramatization of like actual historical events, and some things are added for Hollywood's sakes or just for fun, but I think overall, like this movie gave us a launch into some more realistic, like historical period piece type films. So I think kind of capturing the feel of ancient Greece was done pretty well and all that. So that's where I'm giving which is essentially like set design and costumes, I guess, would be the best way to classify and sum it up. But that's where I'm giving my EP.
It does a great job of just piquing your interest enough as like maybe like a guy or something. I've always heard that like, oh, guys think about the Roman Empire at least once a week or something. Like that doesn't really I don't really understand that, because I don't think about like concrete or aqueducts or democracy, I guess, as much as I should possibly. But this movie does have where you watch it and you're like, okay, wow, all like there's the like phalanx, come and take it, Molen Labe, all these things are things that are still very much used words today. The fighting style, or not the fighting styles, but like the tactics and all that shit are still like used and say today. And if you're just a casual observer and you like pop this movie out because you want to watch something violent or whatever, and you see this, this piques your interest just enough, I think, to go grab a real fucking book. And check out, like, I mean, because this is very relevant stuff. Like the freedom. I mean, like that's
free.
yeah. And as you watch this, and it's just kind of it's an interesting, segue into like, what really was going on at that time. And, like I said, maybe it makes somebody grab a book, or they walk around thinking this is like a 100% historically accurate thing. And, like,
I do remember debates happening after this.
Yeah, I mean, like this is made for a fucking movie, like Forrest Gump really didn't have 13 Dr. Peppers and go shake hands with,
I just remember like after I first watched it, I had like 3 dudes around me telling me, no, this is what really happened. And I was just like, sure, bro. Let's just
we love it. We love it. We love it.
Joe, what are you giving your EP to?
My EP is actually going to go to dialogue. I liked the things that were said.
There's some choice
when they've got that overweight Persian cracking the whip on the ground, and he's like, "Our arrows will blot out the sun," and then you get then we'll fight in the shade. Like, man, dude, that's some pretty heavy shit. Like we're not afraid of anything. Yeah, it's there was a lot of good. There was good, things that were said in the movie.
Right.
Obviously, this is Sparta. Those 3 words still carry. Everyone knows where that came from. Everyone knows that scene. Yeah, it was awesome. This is madness. No, this is Sparta. Kick. Yeah, so. I'm going with dialogue.
I agree.
Very well written stuff.
That's I'll get into more of that when we get to the MP portion, because that's borderline what I had. Chris, what are you giving your EPT?
It's testicles. Second, two testicles. You say EP?
Yeah.
EP, like I said, it's the visuals, it's the cinematography, and it's the narration. And I didn't care. I was like, I didn't care that it wasn't Morgan Freeman. I liked it. Whoever's voice it was.
Yeah, the narrator, excellent job.
He knew when to come in, knew when to stop. But I thought they did a great job, and it's just something. It's if you can hold me, like I can watch it. And like I said, everything moved fast. I wasn't sitting here just not paying attention to one scene, because everything just kept moving. The story moved. And as the only Phalanx tech sitting here, I was very excited to see the Phalanx in use, what my weapon system was actually named after,
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And once I saw it in action, because, in all our history books growing up, in high school, they show you the Phalanx is just a block of men. Right? They didn't go over like, oh, okay, these guys' shields are going to go over here. These guys' shields are going to go here. Everybody's protected now like a turtle shell. These guys then expose to let the other guys in front throw thrust the sword. So like Joe was saying, all of that, learning that part of history, that's what the EP goes to. And I did write down, I did a deep dive into the Battle of Thermopylae.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to ask Adamos, does this make you want to become a history buff when you see movies like this? Because we're getting to that age where we have to become buffs on something. If it's the Civil War, if it's World War II, if it's these old Greek battles,
See all the random stuff behind him? That's what he's buff on. Okay.
And just visually stunning movie for me.
I'm a Wikipedia guy.
Yeah, me too.
So like I'll bring up this movie and what the fuck is cornea? Let me look that up. Oh, what the fuck is that? Started looking that up, but I do all mostly through Wikipedia.
I'll tell you this: it all started for me, but like this old Greek shit, the Oedipus Rex story. Now it's kind of like once I figured out what that was all about. When people say, "Oh, he's got an Oedipus complex," it means he's a mama's boy, basically. But Oedipus was married to his mom without knowing it, and that's where it all came from. And I was like, "Oh, it means club foot also." So I was like, "Okay." You get into these old Greek things, there's some weird shit coming out, and you can believe there might be a fucking hunchback with Proteus syndrome.
Right? Sabrina, what are you giving your EP to?
I am giving my EP to Faramir in this film.
What?
I don't remember the actor's name. He is the narrator. He is the guy who lost his eye.
David Wenham. aka Delios.
aka Faramir from the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I do like that guy.
It's awesome.
His narrating was excellent.
Now, here on this rugged patch of earth called Plataea, Xerxes' hordes face obliteration!
The dialogue, as you all have touched on, was perfect. It was poetic. It was not too much. His voice was like, sometimes when you listen to a narrator in something like this, it could easily become overwhelming or too much or just like interrupt the story. And this really worked. And the fact that he was a character throughout the story, and then you get the switcheroo where you figure out how it is he became the narrator as well. I just thought that was one of the coolest parts of the film. And yeah, because like you guys said, the dialogue is great. Like, they're witty, the dark humor, all of that stuff. The narration is good, but I was like, specifically, this aspect of the movie was really, of the dialogue was really, really cool for me.
Awesome. I agree.
Thanks. Everybody else
also-
agrees too. Yeah. I can see it on their faces.
Let's move
And
on.
Andy is definitely listening.
Checking some for one of my next evals.
Thinking about the next movie.
Let's move on
No,
to
not
the
that, but-
MPs, the most promotes, the things that we enjoy about the film. I'll kick it off once again, and this is to go alongside what Joe was saying. They're perfect military quotes for a military environment, and things started getting funnier when I started using them in a like ship's crew versus the chief's mess scenario. These quotes started getting funny to me, so I wrote down a shit ton. I just want to go through a couple of them with you guys. Give them nothing, but take from them everything. You may be many, but we are Spartans.
Are you saying these are the Chiefs?
Oh
talking
no,
about-
this is ship's crew talking to the chiefs.
Oh,
We shall fight in the shade. I brought more soldiers than you did. This is what I used to tell Joe when I was on duty and he would go on liberty. Come back with your shield or on it.
So dumb.
We put their name to the test. We've been sharing our culture with you all morning. And, this is when we're getting ready to go on a fast cruise, right? Ready your breakfast and eat hearty, for tonight we dine in hell.
yeah. And this is I think that's kind of like what makes our like Donald Cook group so much fun. It's like you don't expect it. Like you're just having a normal conversation. It's like, oh hey, man, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be back. Or the head, and then you say some shit like that. Come back with your shield or on it.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Do you
You're just
guys?
gonna re-enliven it. Like, I'm gonna run to the store and you're gonna be like, come back with your shield or on it.
Yeah.
Like if I was ever put in charge of a quarters like
Just give me
scenario
orange juice, Adam.
where I'm running quarters, I would like sneak in a new 300 quote into quarters every morning until people started catching on.
Someone caught on.
Yeah.
Safe to stand down would benefit from a come back with your shield or on it, to close it out.
Andy, what is your MP?
I think the battle scenes, overall, like getting the scale and everything, like capturing that and just the grittiness.
I'm glad that it was on a cliffside so that we could just see the side view just
Yeah.
the entire time. Joe, what are you handing out some MPs to?
I'm actually gonna give my MP to whoever did the casting, and not because of everybody else in this movie that you may be thinking about, but because of one individual that this guy, man, every time I see him, I know that it's about to go down, and it's always fun. His name's Robert, probably pronounced Mallet, maybe Mallet. Does that you guys know who that is? He
Prime
is.
Minister
He played.
of
He played.
Argentina?
He Rob, he's the dude that played the gigantic immortal.
Yeah.
He was Kurgan, the interrogator in WWE back in like '97. He's a monster of a guy. But he was in like Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
He fought Robert Downey Jr. multiple times in that movie. Every time I think he plays the perfect large, maybe not the big bad guy, but like one of the dudes you have to get through. It's like a trial getting through him.
Is he like
and
this
Leonidas,
generation's Kevin Nash? Like every time you see Kevin Nash, shit's about to go down.
Yeah, Kevin Nash would have mopped the floor with this dude back in '97. But Kurgan the Interrogator was a serious wrestler, man. He was part of the Oddities. But every time he's been in a movie, I'm like, dang, dude, I can't wait for the fight scene he's going to be involved in. And but I give must promote to that guy. I always enjoy every time he gets down to the fisticuffs with somebody. And his fight scene with Leonidas was, mano a mano, man, one of the best ones in the whole thing. I mean,
It was sick when he swung his sword down and it just edged his helmet.
Yeah, that guy.
I wouldn't have recognized his face at all. I was like,
did you look him up?
I didn't think about his.
I just looked him
that
up.
guy.
So.
He was just that big brute guy. I was just watching.
A lot of great throwdown.
Who's that guy? Who's the Asian guy? Who's always the perfect henchman? That's who you're making me think of, though. He's like in every '80s action movie.
Oh, it's like Ed Jong or something.
Al Young.
Yeah.
He's in every single movie. I saw him the other night, and I don't. Oh, Die Hard. I was watching Die Hard. Yeah.
Chris, what are you handing out your MP to?
I'm gonna say the bodies. Great nipples in this movie. Like nipples with substance. They're in your mouth. I mean, just like I said, the visuals for that, but the bodies themselves and what they had to go through to get to where they're at. And what's her name? Lena Headey.
I feel like my nipples want to invert at these conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like yours invert. These right here, they were out there for the camera. I don't know what the person did in makeup to get them like that, but I don't know what they were using for lipstick back then either.
Cold,
you guys
dude. All their bodies were so tight and their nipples were always hard. They were just freezing on that set, I think. Nobody
I understand.
was wearing clothes.
They're probably eating a Mediterranean diet. They're always have to walk everywhere. Got to take the stairs, of course, but great bodies. You get a lot of group of people like that together. And I just thought it was just something about it is the way they shot it that accented the parts is what we'll say.
Color palette, really lend it to
color. I'm really not a fan of these movies that have these different color palettes, these filters and shit like that. But this one right here, I really liked. And her red lips, when I saw her red lips come out in a scene, I just said, what are they using for lipstick back then? Was it bat guano? Was it,
back then
berries and some kind of mix?
Yeah, some berry mixture.
Yeah. With the natural dyes, really.
Yeah, the bodies, the work put into making this movie, I guess, more believable and what people might look like back then. Because you see all the sculptures of like David and stuff back then. Everybody had abs, even Jesus.
Everybody was rocking abs.
Yeah, anatomy sciences were really popular. So once people started cutting people open and figuring out where organs were, that's why some of these statues and stuff look so weird, or paintings look so weird and bulky, is because they're like, and there's got to be a bulge in the side where the liver goes.
Interesting.
I learned that in art school.
Sabrina, what are you handing your MP to?
I am handing it to. I don't think I have a succinct word for it, but the intention behind the cinematography and specifically everything, when they made this, they made sure to not spare any moment on detail and beauty. There was the little priestess oracle girl who did her little pretty dance thing for a second while she was high as hell, and every time they got close up onto all of Xerxes, was just like they like painted that man and bedecked him in jewels and things, and like every single moment, like they didn't spare screen time. And the movie was decently long, especially for back then, but it didn't feel wasted. And they managed to just like really let your eyes soak in all of that detail and all of that beauty. And I really appreciated the intention, I guess, just intention in cinematography, I guess. It was gorgeous.
Sure.
Great job. And they made something fairly monochromatic. Like, that's beautiful. Like, how a lot of people can't pull that off, but they did.
Awesome. And now let's move on to our SPs, our significant problems, what we hated the most about the film. If anything, this movie is damn near perfect. I'll kick it off. I'm handing
Helicopters or dragons.
Dude.
I'm handing my SP to the. It's not as prevalent. How many films into Zack Snyder's career was this? Does anybody know?
I can find out real quick. I was in IMDb. I will tell you. Give me 1 minute while you vamp on something important.
But okay. Well, anyway, it's the Zack Snyder slow mo. Like when he got to like Batman versus Superman or the Justice League, I mean, like he went like super crazy with the slow mo. But you had some Zack Snyder slow mo that gets kind of old to me now that I've noticed it.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Bad Boys 2 effect, like a Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer thing, to where the movie could have been an hour and a half shorter if they wouldn't have put slow-mo in it. Yeah. Every time they did something, slow motion.
Yeah.
Slow-mo does get old pretty quick.
Yeah, it seems like it was pretty early.
Early.
It was the second movie.
At least early in his notable films. But
yeah, once he got to Justice League, the Zack Snyder slow-mo was fucking unbearable.
Okay.
Andy, you ready to hand out your SP or you still reading?
Yeah, actually, oddly enough, I think, and I was thinking about this, and I think I'm going to give my SP to Gerard Butler, but not for reasons you would think.
Let's hear
he
it.
is great in this movie.
Okay.
It really puts him on the map, because I was looking over his IMDb, and you look at what he did beforehand, and even stuff like Rain of Fire and that, like he's small roles, like a little bit of screen time, like he gets put on the map with 300, and then we kind of find out that he's basically the Nick Cage of his generation. He does some movies that are really great, and then he rolls the dice on a lot of shit too. And it's like, is he a good actor or is he not? Like he basically doesn't. He's kind of like Statham and doesn't say no to much of anything, and he'll pay the price. So, for better or for worse, in some case for worse, Gerard Butler. We get great things like this, and trying to think of some other great ones, but then we also get Chasing Mavericks, and other,
and he doesn't change his accent for anything.
Yeah. Well, it worked
that's
for Connery.
That's called Sean Connery effect.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you want to hand out your SPT?
My SP is going to go to the culture that this movie created.
Oh my God, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The mansplaining.
The movie's really good. I mean, I really like this movie. You know.
But that doesn't mean you have to adopt it as your lifestyle.
No, and there's other things. I don't hate anything about the movie, I guess. But like Andy's SP goes to, damn, Gerard Butler. Like, you got put on the map, dude. Now what?
Whatever else.
I mean, so I can't find. There's nothing I don't like. I like the movie. I like everything in the movie.
Yeah.
I like all the scenes. I like the dialogue, the cinematography, all the things we've already hit on. I don't like the people that made it like their entire being.
Yeah.
I only wear earth tones with Spartan helmets on it now. I
You take it too far. Yeah.
I do sit-ups instead of anything cool.
But that'll happen with any like. I mean, and granted, this was a March film, so it wasn't necessarily a summer blockbuster, but like that'll happen with any. Like, look at what happened to fucking Yahoo's when Fast and the Furious 1 came out.
Yeah,
Yeah, everybody in like piece of shit Civics, like stock, thinking they were hot shit.
right.
That movie mufflers on the car now.
That movie gave a microphone to a subsect of society that we already didn't like.
Yeah.
And they just amplified that. There wasn't a subsect of society that was like Spartan around the neighborhood. You know, to this day, I bet if you go to like a
disenfranchised,
like a big like costume party for Halloween, you'll get like 2 or 3 people dressed as the Crow, 4, 5, 6 women dressed as Harley Quinn, and like 2 or 3 dudes dressed like Spartans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like they just kind of like, you know, took something cool and then just kind of, you know, the way people do and drive it into the ground on certain things, you know.
Yeah.
All I do is work out now and I only eat olives. All right. Cool.
Oh man, I know this restaurant. It's a restaurant, man. They have the best dates from Egypt you'll ever.
Yeah,
nobody's ever eaten a date.
Sorry.
Like, oh my god, man, fig jam. Nobody's ever eaten a fig if it's not on a Newton.
Right. I'm eating fruit and cake here, bud.
Yeah,
because there's no way. Yeah, I don't have near enough, you know, leather laces on my sandals. I can't go out in public.
Yeah.
So that's my SP, the society that we created based around this movie.
You guys know my hatred for a lack of a covered shoe, but one of my most hated fashion choices is gladiator sandals.
Don't want to see your fucking toes, especially on an airplane.
Chris, what are you handing out your SP to?
Fuck, I got a couple of them, and I want to talk about Joe's. The subsect now is they're still out there. The Fast and Furious guys now they're doing street takeovers in Dodge Neons, and they're all, you know, Jesus Christ. Yeah, these people were happy this movie came out because now so finally something to represent what we've been doing for the last 3 years. I guess my SP, what I'd written down first, but since you guys have talked, it gave me a couple of other things in my head, you know, like with all of these movies set back then, where the only weapons they had were swords and shit. They want me to believe that there were this many fucking arrows in existence. No way. There was not mass production back then. And they're just shooting this fucking big wall of arrows. And it had to have been 45,000 arrows blocking out the sun in this one. And they're all landing. And in every movie, I have to know, you can't just shoot all those arrows without mass production. Somebody had to sit there and whittle these fucking things.
Well,
you know?
I saw a thing.
Spare no wealth. He is
a while ago about like blacksmithing back in the day and stuff, you know, and like you see like
we still would have had wooden shaft.
An entire weekend for a guy that has all the metalworking tools you can imagine to make a cool ass sword. We've all seen the TV show, I'm sure, Forged in Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I saw, I don't know what this was, but it was like an experienced metalsmither back then, a blacksmith or whatever, a weapons maker, could do like 6 arrowheads in a day.
Yeah.
You know, they could whip out, like, you know, cutting them down or whatever. Like it's a small amount, but you also have to keep in mind that you don't have shit else to do.
True.
It's not like you're like, oh, let me go check my Facebook real quick. You know, you have so if you have like, you know, a 3,000 person army or a 10,000 person army or whatever, you know,
you're going to have a quiver of fucking arrows, and a quiver will have to be at least 10.
Sure. And but you have a
huge
number of people, so like you're going to collect and reclaim, you know.
Your leading
no,
point was there has to be a supply department.
Well, yeah, and you know, just like war's big money, man. I mean, you know, like as a soldier, you're not
1,000 nations
making
of
your
the
own
Persian
bullets,
Empire.
but there's somebody making bullets. I mean, there's a group of people whipping out arrows, just like there's someone that's like boiling down water to make salt.
Xerxes.
You have to have salt to feed your army.
No,
You know, I mean,
you're not going to make you believe all these arrows exist. And you're not going to make me believe there wasn't a group of people that had to go and collect all the arrows off the battlefield for reuse.
I'm sure that happened too.
People to go back and get them. I don't know who it
Those
is.
Those are super intricate arrowheads that they're using too. They look like fucking beetles or some shit.
Yeah, they were crazy.
Xerxes' army at least was slaves too. Like the slavery was being used to the point where like it didn't like 6 arrows a day by an experienced one. They didn't need a.
I didn't understand how they were trying to portray
one whole nation making them, and that's what they did. Like factory setting.
I didn't understand how they were trying to portray Xerxes. I mean, at the beginning, the messenger got killed just because his message was earth and water. It's like, okay, he's Captain Planet right now. And then he turns into an elephant trainer at some point when they release these elephants and a rhinoceros.
There's Dawson from Street Fighter.
Yeah, since we started talking, I know they did this for Hollywood, but it's they've got monsters and shit back then. And then there was a lobster boy at one point. And I don't know if you guys remember in the 80s, Lobster Boy was a big deal on talk shows. But I was thinking that the Hunchback would have been great for the phalanx, because all those lumps and shit on the back there, that's all calcified bone and shit. That's like just skull upon skull back there. He doesn't even need to lift his fucking shield. Keep that shield out front. You let that shit, your natural backing there. And I was thinking he could have been a good, and he wouldn't have been a traitor at that point. Just say, stay in the middle, though, kind of, with your lumps. You're not going to weaken anybody in the phalanx if you're in the middle. That's all. That's all I had. I mean, the arrows in these movies, they're all flying like crazy. And then it's like, why would anybody fight with swords if you had that many arrows? Just shoot at each other from across the water.
Fight in the shade is an all-time line, though.
Yeah, they had to. But somebody's got to fucking collect those arrows after they're done.
I just read and
you are on this.
I did a quick Google search just to see how many arrows can be made in a day, and it seems like in medieval times they were around like 12 to 20 per day. So this is before medieval times, right?
Yeah.
And so I mean, you're not going to have readily available. You're not going to have ingots of metal to just melt down to pour into your arrowhead.
Right, yeah, you're not casting arrows, but you're also
you got to mine it.
I like how you use the word ingots. You don't hear that often.
But you're fighting during the day, and then like at night and everything, you're somewhat culling the battlefield, collecting your dead to send back home or give proper burial rites to. So you're probably pruning out the arrows and stuff, reusing the ones you can, and
getting your
all
plunder.
that. Plus,
whenever Leonidas broke all those arrows off of his shield, I said,
such a sick scene.
I said, I hope that doesn't weaken his shield though, with all those arrowheads still stuck in. And then the next scene they weren't there, and I was like, oh, okay, took care of it. Just a great shield.
Sabrina, what are you handing out in SPT?
I have two actually. They're minor, but they're so minor that it's two. It was touched on already, but the inconsistency with dialects I did notice quite a bit. And then when the prophet, like the old dude, like took his slimy tongue on that young girl's body, like I just like have a viscerally cringe reaction, and so I want SP that moment from my memory, and from this movie. I'm gonna get my cat.
I can agree with you there, Sabrina. Women don't like that.
Tell me that's not
it was like slug slime on his face,
and his tongue didn't look like it was a nice tongue to have with you anyway. It was like hard and weird looking.
I didn't want it, and it's in my head now. And
tell me that's not classic Chief Mess scenario, fucking taking the young and new deck seamen.
Licking their faces, you little
I've never heard of that happening.
Never.
I was like, I literally was told one time
Oh,
that
the
I
Oracle.
got you in my duty section because you're the pretty one.
Oh.
So it happens, guys.
No one ever said that to me.
Nobody, no chief took advantage of Andy.
Right? Feel so left out.
You got some work to do, Andy.
And I remember him telling me how he felt so unpretty.
Aw, you don't want to be pretty in the Navy.
Sweet. Let's give this movie our official ratings. Using 1 through 10 on the Dixie Cup scale. Andy, you want to start us off?
Let's go 9. I mean, really, the movie, it still hits. Like, I hadn't watched it in a long while prior to this, so I was kind of excited to, like, and in general, it's nice when it's like movies that I have in my physical collection and I get to pull out the DVD and
yeah, right.
put it up. And yeah, I mean, this movie is still like just slaps like it did back then. So 9.
9 from Andy. Joe.
I'm gonna go with an 8. The movie is still awesome, and and how much of an impact. I mean, I mean, when it was coming out, people were like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Can't wait to see this thing." I mean, and we were all coming hot off of Sin City, so we all had high expectations for this.
Yeah.
And then you see these beefcakes coming out; they're all ripped to shit. Like, yeah, dude, it's some serious stuff. And I've always been kind of a soft body, kind of a regular soft body, so
A mollusk.
right. Not really much of a definition to me at all. But seeing these guys
Closer to a real SEAL than a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, well, Project Walrus, they injected me and put hair on my body where it didn't belong, and in order to keep me warm in the Arctic. But yeah, I mean, like, this movie was a monster, and when we saw it in the theaters, afterwards, we're like, holy shit, dude, what we just saw, a masterpiece. And then as soon as available on DVD, I bought it.
Yeah.
I have the graphic novel upstairs. I mean, I got into this thing, man. I liked it. I thought it was cool, and it kind of, opened the door to look at some graphic novels and shit like that. It was a very cool whole thing. I like I like it all, man. 8. It's not a 10, but I can watch it whenever I want to. I still like it.
Chris.
Testicles, I think it's I give it 8.5. And I've always been in pretty good shape, until now. I've always had muscles. I've always had muscular arms. And when I made Chief, I got into really good shape because we're running 5 miles a day and doing push-ups all day and stuff. So I was ready for the new E3 that came on board at that point, But yeah, 8.5, great movie. I'm glad I sat down and watched it from beginning to end. Finally, makes more sense. Makes me laugh when I think of some of the people we served with. So, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'll do 8.5.
Sabrina.
Uh-oh.
Well, I don't know, because I don't have any really strong feelings about this movie. Like, I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was really well done. I feel like 8 isn't too crazy, but I'm not ever gonna probably choose to watch. Like, this is not gonna be like something I'm just like, I feel like watching 300. So I'm gonna give it, I guess, 7.5, because it's like perfectly fine. And it did do a lot for culture, better or worse. But I'm not all like goo goo gaga over it.
Yeah, as far as my rating is, this movie ripped when it first came out. Completely, like, badass movie for the people I was around and the environment I was in. On rewatching it this past month, still a solid fucking film. Like, Could Zack Snyder fuck this up? Maybe, but he didn't. Seems you could pick this movie up anytime, which makes it, when we get to that deployment movie, it makes it a good deployment film. With all that being said, yeah, it's a like the most 8 movie you've ever watched, and I'll compare like other 8s to it, and that's where this is my baseline 8 movie. All right, let's move on to some EMI, or extra military instruction. These are assignments that the host assigns to the watch party based or adjacent to the film we just watched. My first assignment was a 3-word quote you yell to a fellow sailor before you Spartan kick him over the side of the ship. And so just so you guys know, in my brain, I'm gonna get that scene from the movie, and I'm gonna dub your voices over that scene.
Nice.
I'll kick it off. My 3-word quote that I yell before to a sailor before I Spartan kick him over the side is "Man your brooms." Boom.
So awful.
Andy, what is yours?
It's disgusting.
Freshwater washdown.
Yeah. Joe.
Definitely someone's saying this is
Yeah,
madness.
that's fucking awesome.
I may have misinterpreted slightly what it was just to do. But
Do you want to come back?
No, I don't. I'm gonna stick with this one because I wrote it and I mean it. Damn it. This is like a new guy on the ship. His first underway. Pizza, nuggets, the leftover pasta from lunch. This is madness. And then I look over and I kind of side eye a CS3 and he nods his head. And I go, madness? This is Midrats.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for the
100% good.
Testicles, the second.
Good job.
You wanted it to be 3 Navy words?
Just a 3-word phrase.
All right, because my first one was man overboard, starboard. But I was thinking about it. I just thought my 3-word phrase I say to anybody when they have a complaint, and I just say, "It's just been revoked."
Sabrina.
So a little bit of scene work. When Adam first told me about this, I was like, what is something that has been said to me that would make me angry? And one of the first things I thought of was, you know what they call women in the Navy? Waves. Ha ha ha. So all I gotta say to that is, ride this wave.
Boom.
Lion.
I loved all those. That went better than I expected it.
I think that
It's fun to
ride this wave might backfire on you.
It
There's a
can't.
chance.
I kicked him off.
Yeah, that's true. Also, she kicked him off the side.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, I didn't know I was just to kick him over the side. I was just like, like letting him know.
Yeah.
Either
Either way.
Midrats.
This is Midrats. This isn't just
This isn't just
tuna
a regular
pasta.
meal.
This is Midrats. All right. The next assignment was, I was looking at this movie, and I enjoy when you see actors become bigger than they were. Gerard Butler, Lena Headey, Ardua Faramir, Michael Fassbender. Sorry, Cassie's just having a thought. So I thought I want to hear what your top 5 ensemble cast movies are, and bonus points if you tell me a movie before any or all of them were super uber famous.
I'm getting no bonus points.
I'll just kick it off. For my number 5, I chose LA Confidential. Fucking solid movie. Guy Pearce, Russell Crowe, James Cromwell, Kevin Spacey, Kim Basinger, and Danny DeVito. You know, that's a hell of a movie right there. Number 4, super popular, but Saving Private Ryan has a whole bunch of people littered throughout the movie, not to mention Tom Hanks, Ed Burns, Tom Sizemore, Jeremy Davis, Barry Pepper. What you know about Barry Pepper?
Yep.
Even Nathan Fillion was in there. You know,
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Matt Damon.
Yeah.
My number 3 movie is Ocean's 11. That's kind of a cheater one because it's like one of those movies that's meant to be a ensemble cast. But
Right. It's
George
still
Clooney, Brad Pitt, Bernie
still does the
Mac,
thing. Yeah.
Casey Affleck, Scott Conn, Don Cheadle, Matt Damon. Number 2, I had to go with the Seamen on Film original OG, Smoking Aces. Ryan Reynolds, Ben Affleck, Andy Garcia, Chris Pine, Common, Jeremy Piven, Ray Liotta, Alicia Keys, Jason Bateman, Joel Edgerton, and Taraji P. Henson, just to name a few.
Yeah.
Big hitters nowadays in that thing.
And then I love watching this, my number 1 movie, because like every 10 years, another actor from this movie just makes it big, and that movie is Black Hawk Down. Josh Hartnett's in it, Ewan McGregor, Tom Sizemore again, Tom Hardy was in there, Orlando Bloom, Eric Bana, Kim Coates. He became big in Sons of Anarchy. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who became famous after Game of Thrones. Jamie Lannister. Jeremy Piven and Ty Burrell. Like,
Oh yeah, Ty Burrell.
yeah, like Black Hawk Down, like every 10 years, like someone else from that movie.
Yeah.
It's
Takes
crazy. Andy.
Sweet. All right. Yeah, I think that it was weird, and like it didn't occur to me like at first. I'm like, and then as I was watching, I was like, oh, that's Fassbender, and like some of these other people, you know.
Yeah, when I saw Fassbender in this thing, I was like, I immediately was like, damn, dude, what movie was he in before this? Because I mean, there's no way he could be this old and his career jumpstart from this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it did, and I mean, well, you know, you sometimes you see somebody, and you're like, oh, that person's first movie was, you know, such and such. Like you see with comedy actors, like Danny McBride. You're like, dude, you're fucking hilarious. Where were you at before you were 38?
Yeah.
You know, or Daryl from The Office. You know, like that dude was in a lot of stuff pretty quickly after he got his start. But it was like, what were you doing? Like serving pizza? Yeah, what Fassbender? Tell us more. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So start out. Some of these are pre-famous, some are post-famous. But I'll start at number 5. Heat.
Yeah.
Is a big one. You know, you have De Niro, Pacino, Val Kilmer, and some others. Yeah, great. Ocean's 11 had to be on there. That's my number 4. Number 3. You know, I immediately thought, well, one of the great, you know, ensemble casts of sorts is UHF. And that's a lot of people before they were famous coming from there. Then number 2, Wet Hot American Summer. He's got like huge, you know, a lot of great big comedy names. And then number 1, which you could really almost go like any movie from this director, but I went Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that one slightly more recent, and it's a fun one. Like everybody's already mostly pretty well established, but it's a lot of people that normally probably didn't work together, but all working in a comedy setting, and most of them are like more serious or dramatic actors and stuff, like Ray Fiennes and some of these, you know, other people. It's a good time. So that was my list.
Joe.
All right. My list. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
You know, you could even go to the older one if you wanted to, but I mean, I was doing this one with Chris Pratt and Ethan Hawke, Denzel, you know, D'Onofrio. I put the Avengers on here. I mean, yeah, they were all big names and they were all more like, you know, but I mean, like it was the culmination of so many years. We were waiting for it. I'm I'm also going to go with Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
I was waiting for one of you to say that.
Yeah.
I knew it would be on a list.
Say again.
I knew it would be on a list.
Yeah, it was awesome, and they had a bunch of actors in there that we all know and love. What is that? 3 of them. Then I also have Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that one? That's got Will Smith, Gene Hackman, John Voight, Regina King, Jack Black. You got Scott Conn, Seth Green.
Oh yeah.
You got Barry Peppers in that thing. I mean, it's Jake Busey. It's crazy how people are in that movie.
Yeah.
And then my last one is a movie that probably not a lot of people really enjoy that much, but it was definitely something in my high school that went down. And this one is Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Yeah.
You got Ethan Embry, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Seth Green.
A lot of them, like before they're
Jason Segel, Jamie Presley,
Peter Fasinelli,
Freddie Rodriguez, Donald Faison. You had a lot.
Oh, yeah, Breckin Meyer. The Lovebird.
Breckin Meyer. Yeah. I mean, there was a ton of people in that movie. So there you go. There's my 5.
Let's go with Sabrina.
Okie dokie. I didn't pay attention to who was in them or who was famous or any of that. I was just kind of casually thinking and writing notes to myself about casts with big amounts of characters that all had important parts that couldn't be left out. That being said, I'm going to start with The Fellowship of the Ring because I have to.
I was looking forward to that coming out.
Yeah.
From you.
It's going to happen. This had to happen. Knives Out.
Yeah.
The Hangover.
Yeah.
Where I'm just looking for my stars. Sorry. The Greatest Showman.
I think I've seen.
Oh yeah. It's
that was a musical. With
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman and Zendaya and whatever, lots of people. Ghostbusters, even the lady one. I fucking love the lady version too. It was good.
Yeah.
And then I put Jurassic Park down here too. Sorry, my list is really messy.
Yeah, Jurassic Park had a lot of heavy hitters in it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Jurassic Park's probably like the oldest one, so it's probably got the one where we've got the most likely weren't famous before.
I liked all those Knives Out movies.
Knives Out is awesome.
It's a great movie.
The Glass Onion, Knives Out.
Yeah, both good.
They were cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Testicles.
Right. Ensemble movies. I'm in the older part here. I did ask Herschel what he would think when he first thinks of an ensemble movie. You know what he said first thing? It's The Wild Bunch.
Oh.
And I said, okay, yeah, Herschel's down in the 60s.
Mad world.
Yeah.
I do want to.
That one was on my list, and then I was like, nobody will know that, so I was like, maybe I should just say Rat Race. But I mean, it's the same movie, but 30 years apart.
I was going to say this one is I didn't pick one of these. They're all Gary Marshall films.
Mm-hmm.
He did a trilogy of them, and it's Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, New Year's Day.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Where different sets of stories are happening simultaneously. They all kind of come to a crescendo towards the end of the movie. I mean, you got every star. Even John Bon Jovi was in one.
Yeah.
My number 4 is going to be The Breakfast Club. And this is before they were famous, I think. You knew who they were, but they weren't that famous. I think it was like second movie with Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah.
Emilio Estevez wasn't too famous at this point, but you knew who he
Judd
was.
Hirsch. Yeah.
Judd Nelson and
or Judd Nelson, rather.
Yeah, so it's a good cast there. My number 3 is a movie called Grand Canyon. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It's
No.
Steve Martin, Danny Glover, Kevin Kline, Mary McDonnell.
Yeah.
It's a skinny girl. She, Mary Louise Parker, Alfred Woodard, Jeremy Sisto when he was like 15, and Marley Shelton when she was about 15. Good movie, how their lives all came together.
Yeah.
My number 2. Nobody said Pulp Fiction or Goonies.
No.
Goonies is way before, but number 2, I put Cannonball Run.
Oh yeah, that was the one I was thinking I meant to put on my list, and then I somehow like forgot it when I was actually writing them down.
Cannonball Run 1 or 2. I mean,
Yeah.
Jackie Chan has made an appearance, doing some karate and splitting his pants.
Yep.
And Richard Kill.
Reynolds.
Richard Kill, after James Bond, before Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Before he got a nail in his head.
Yeah.
My number 1 before they were all famous. Number 1 before they were famous, Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
You got the London twin in there,
Mhm.
Ben Affleck.
What's his face?
Vince Vaughn was not cast because him and Ben Affleck look too much alike.
Yeah. But
They're
also
both
Forrest Whitaker
6'4".
is in Dazed and Confused too.
No, Forrest Whitaker's not. You're thinking of Fast Times.
Oh, that's right.
And it was Matthew McConaughey's first movie.
Yeah.
You got Marissa Ribisi. You've got the Hebrew Hammer, not Herschel, but Adam Goldberg.
Oh yeah.
Anthony Rapp is in it, and then the girls, Parker Posey. You had what's her name, Joey Lauren Adams.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Renee Zellweger doesn't even have a credited part; she's just a girl in the background. So Dazed and Confused, which is probably one of my favorite. It's in my top 10 of movies of all time. And that's it.
Well, I guess it's time to answer the question. Is this movie worthy of going in the deployment binder?
100%.
Andy,
100%.
Joe,
Not even a question.
Chris,
Yes.
Yes.
Sabrina,
Of course, yeah.
and I also agree. So we're throwing it in the binder. The very first movie to go into the deployment binder.
Yeah.
300
Quintessential bro.
by Zack Snyder.
Here we go.
Thanks everybody for listening or watching or however you consume this episode. Andy, by chance, do you have a movie ready or do you want to say?
I do.
Why don't you give everybody what year and genre you're picking from, and then
So it's the 90s and comedies. It is a classic, we talk about the quotable movies and great things like that.
I'm nervous.
Why not the quintessential summer movie, 1993, The Sandlot.
Oh,
and
very nice.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think we've done it, but I couldn't tell you how many times a week that we're quoting or talking about this, movie.
That's
at work or
93?
whatever.
I thought it was older than that.
Yeah, because we're
I think
older.
Adam and I talked about this before. Me and Adam talked about we hadn't had a sports movie yet.
yeah, I'm
This counts,
excited.
right?
Yeah.
Counts as a sports movie?
It's such a good movie. Yeah, I'm excited.
Dennis Leary before he was, really big.
It's a real
I think I've
ensemble
only watched it
cast.
once,
Right?
from beginning to end.
Now this doesn't count as an ensemble because none of them became famous.
Well,
James Earl Jones.
No, but
He
you
was
need
in
all
it.
the characters.
He was already famous though.
Okay.
Awesome. So I assume you'll assign us our EMI later.
yeah, I'll have to come up with that. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Once again, thanks for listening. Let us know what you think. How we answered our EMI or any other the other stuff we talked about. Send us an email at seastoriespod@gmail.com. That's seastoriespod@gmail.com. Maybe if we get some cool comments, we'll read them on the next episode. Say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
A good night.